You know, the different readings today can come across a little confusing. In the first reading, the prophet Amos, we hear about God's judgment on the sinful people who have ignored his warnings and continue to take advantage of others, particularly the poor. We're reminded of the great commandment to love God and to love one another. Respect, care, and dignity for all life, for our fellow human beings. And the final line from that first reading tells us of the importance. Never will I forget a thing that they have done. Then in Luke's gospel, we hear the parable of the dishonest steward who's praised for his actions. He worked for an absentee landlord, taking care of the landlord's property while he was away. He gets caught being dishonest, and he's basically told to finish an accounting of the books to show exactly what's off. But the steward responds with a plan to try to get him in good favor with the other servants and debtors of that landlord. Presumably, they'll return the favor to him once he's out of a job. The landlord sees what he's done, and even after taking some of the landlord's wealth, he commends that servant. He praises him, telling him, good job. How do the two readings tie together? Well, at the end of the gospel, Jesus explains, cautions us, we cannot serve two masters. We must choose between God and mammon, basically greedy wealth. Not telling us that wealth in and of itself is bad, but if it dominates our lives, if we pursue it at any cost, pursuing it to take advantage of others, then we lose our focus on God and God's commandment to love. A couple things to think about with our steward. First, he's commended. He's commended for thinking prudently, acting with some confidence, ingenuity, decisively, not being commended for his dishonest actions at all. And then we take a step back and look at who benefited from that. Well, to some extent he did. He's hoping to gain favor with those other debtors and servants. But they actually benefit because now they own a little bit less. They owe a little bit less. The master kind of pays the price. The landlord is the one who's going to be out of pocket. But regardless, he sees what he's done and he tells him, good job. The lesson to take from this, use those gifts that we've been given. Use our ability to think and reason. That's what Jesus is praising. St. Paul in the second reading, similarly, he reminds us that God desires salvation for everyone. He points out even the kings, the Roman emperors. And so our prayers and our actions should extend to everyone. Our steward could have tried to take advantage of those other debtors, the other servants, extracted some money from them for his own benefit, knowing that he was now going to be out of a job, but he didn't. He counted on the fact that they may help him down the road. There's a movie that came out about 20 years ago or so. It's called Any Given Sunday. I know Sunday, you think it's a religious movie. It's about football. And the title refers to a saying about not giving up before the game is actually played. Persevering, because you may never know what happens. You may look overmatched, the odds may be against you. But these athletes all have God-given talent. They trust in what they can do and in the teamwork of working together. That's why you play the game. Anything can happen on any given Sunday. What's it got to do with the gospel? Nothing. I just hope the Jets and the Giants continue to play hard this year and we get a couple of... No, I'm only kidding. Actually, I think it's a pretty good lesson for us. It ties in with our desperate steward. The odds were heavily stacked against him. He was overmatched. He'd been caught. He knew it. He was going to lose his job. He was desperate. But he didn't give in. He continued to use his God-given talents to think, to reason, and to work to overcome the challenge in his life. He used the gifts that were given to him. And that's what Jesus is praising in the gospel today, not the dishonesty. He's commended for confronting the problem head-on with reason and thought. Our steward benefited as well, but so did those others in his Robin Hood type action with the other debtors. We can also walk away today and think about that as we go through our week. See the gifts that we're given. Ask the Holy Spirit for some clarity, some guidance on where we're going, and use those gifts, especially in trying times when we need the most, confronted with challenges and problems. Work together to confront those issues. Just a few final thoughts. Now, after Mass today, the Catholic Daughters are hosting Mercy Sunday down in Carew Hall. That's right, Mercy Sunday, which we haven't done in a while. It's been several years, mainly held up because of COVID. How did we get this started again? Well, the Catholic Daughters themselves were in a bit of a pinch. Their fundraising had been severely limited, and they couldn't do a lot of the acts of mercy that they have traditionally done. Fundraising events that they would do to raise funds just weren't possible because of COVID. They did help with some spiritual works, hosting some rosary services, or Mary Crowning prayer services. But to do the works for the parish and the community that they've traditionally done, they just weren't able to do. They could have given up, just wait and see what would happen, but they didn't. They came to Father Mike and I with a number of different ideas. Many didn't work, but one clicked. So now they have an opportunity to explain their mission, the works of mercy that they've traditionally done, maybe even expand their membership, and at the same time, they're bringing us, the parish community, together for drinks, for snacks. They'll also have an opportunity to raise some funds through a bake sale at the same time. Creative thinking, acting prudently, for the benefit of their organization, but also for the benefit of the parish at large. The Holy Spirit works in mysterious ways. When we first started scheduling it on the calendar, we didn't even look to see what the gospel was this week, but it ends up tying in pretty well. We all encounter difficulties and challenges in our life, at work, with our family, with friends. Are we content to just shrug them off? Or do we try to confront them head on? Do we use the gifts that we've been given to reason, to think, and address them head on?